Sovereign Nation, what's going on? We're back for weekly episode 2. We're rolling. This one's going to be short and sweet. Ideally, we want to keep these around like 20 minutes or so at the max. If we get rolling and we get chatting, that's one thing, but we want to provide maximum value in the shortest amount of time. So that's what we're aiming for. It might take some time for us to get there and dial it in, and that's okay. We're human, we're learning, just like you guys. And on today's episode, Nonsense and I wanted to talk about health is an investment in yourself, because it totally is, right? We touched on it a little bit last week, and it's not something that we went overly deep into. We would like to go deeper on it. Nonsense, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Coming out of like the crypto space, there's a lot of talk about investments in a very general sense, right? Lots of comparisons that are made between TradFi and DeFi in terms of where your money's going and what it's doing. We don't have a whole lot of conversations around what we're doing for ourselves outside of that monetary aspect. And when we think about health, for a lot of people,
you're going to need to speak up a little bit. You're pretty quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I don't know that there's any way. I'll just have to speak louder, and hopefully that works. Okay. So yeah, one thing that I run into a lot when I have conversations about health in a general sense with potential students or clients is there tends to be this very negative view around wanting to modulate what you're eating and having to go and work out, right? It's this, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do that. Oh, I have to, like, if I want to feel better, these are things that I have to do. And it becomes very aggravating. And we look at this stuff as a punishment in a lot of ways, right? We touched on that last time too, is that like, we're not looking at this as a way of just bringing ourselves into a better place, right? We're looking at having to exercise is like, oh, well, if I want to feel better, then I have to do this thing. And it's changing the mindset, turning that around, because that's not a sustainable mindset to carry if you want to not just feel better, right? But if you want to do something cool, if you want to stay in it for the long haul, if you want to make it sustainable, like you can't hate it and do it anyway. That's not going to last very long, and it's not going to be very effective in that space. So yeah, I think this is I think it's great that we pursue this idea as health as an investment, because then it completely changes that around.
It's not something that we have to do, it's something that we get to do. And since we get to do it, it's something that we can tailor and make it enjoyable. It definitely should not be a chore. And like I see this all the time when people come to me to talk to me about working with me. We're so used to the health industry, and whether it's a nutrition coach, a fitness coach, whatever, people are like, okay, this is what you want to do. This is how I'm telling you how to do it. And you cannot stray. That's it. The end. Thanks for coming out. Get after it. Right. And it doesn't work. Like, we're not changing our habits and building routines that are going to carry us for life. And it becomes a chore and it becomes a drag and it wears us down. And because it is an investment in ourselves and our families and our future, how do you make it enjoyable? You take ownership and accountability over your own life. We can give you general prescriptions. We can give you guidelines. But the point of it is to layer it into your lifestyle on top of what you're already doing. So you're not putting yourself in that position where it's like, oh, I gotta get out of bed and do some push-ups. Right? You're not thinking, oh man, I gotta drive, like, what, it's rush hour. I haven't hit the gym yet. I still got like 30 plus minutes to get out there for the people who are into the gym. I mean, we can take all of that out of the equation by simply just educating you guys on how to make choices. A prime example, um, we will just call him Damien. I don't know. I don't want to use it. I'm trying to think of something that's not his actual name. So we'll call him Damien. You and I both talked to him in a chat, and he's not really digging the gym style workouts. And I'm going through his check-ins, and he's always rating himself 2, 3, whatever, because he just doesn't have the time to work out. And even doing like a quick 15, 20-minute workout every single day is too much for him. And it's like, okay, well, take a step back. You're making this a chore and you're trying to force yourself into doing all of this stuff. Make it fun and make it stuff you're already doing. You've brought up like a dozen times that you have a pull-up bar. Why aren't you using your pull-up bar? You work from home, hang it up in a high traffic area. Every hour you're giving yourself a spot drill. Do some pull-ups, do this, do some scat pulls, do some negative pull-ups, do something every hour to grab a glass of water or whatever when you walk by it, and have it just be something that you build into your routine. You're going to get the same results from investing in yourself in those smaller pieces throughout the day. It's going to take you a lot farther than actually doing nothing. Doing something is better than nothing. And if it's too much of a chore, too much of an inconvenience to try and chunk out 15, 20 minutes a day to do something, there's tons of opportunities where you can just get out of your chair, bust out 5 air squats to get some movement in for the hour and move on. There's a lot of different things that we can do in order to make it enjoyable without feeling like we're taking away from our lifestyle.
Yeah, especially starting out, I think it's important to recognize that you don't have to dive in hardcore in order to make progress, right? Like if we think about in investing, you're not going to take your whole paycheck and dump all of it into stocks, bonds, tokens, and coins. You still have to eat, you still got to pay rent, you still got to pay all your bills. You probably want to do something else with some of that money too, like you worked for it.
Weekly
Right? For
date
sure,
nights with the lady.
right? You wanna, and of course you wanna put some money away and have that money make money. But you don't turn around a high dividend with a little bit. That little bit adds up when you do that little bit, right? And it's the same thing with fitness, with health, like movement. Some clients absolutely have to have that person over their shoulder telling them what to do and how to do it, right? That's like, for them, it's just the motivational thing. It's just like, I'm going to show up because I know that someone else is going to help drive this for me, and it's just like, but they have that capacity to show up, right? Not everybody's like that, but there are those people that like it works for them, right? And they've come to recognize that unless this is happening, I'm not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like for a lot of people who like maybe that would work for you, but you're not there yet, right? Like that's a whole paycheck going to investment level, right? And you're not there yet because you don't have put away what you need to be able to also like pay your bills and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like you need that pocket change. You're putting acorns, right? The coins, pennies, like all that kind of stuff. Like it's little bits and pieces here that make a huge difference. I love that pull-up part idea, because what I used to do is hang it up, and it wasn't like an hourly thing. It was every time I walked under it, I had to do at least one pull-up, And so all of a sudden it gets to the point where it's just like, well, like, okay, I feel like I have to pee, but like, do I really need to? Because then I have to pass under that bar and I have to do a pull-up, right? And it's just like you start paying more attention to like how much you're actually sitting, like how much time you're spending in particular areas of the house, like what exactly are you getting up for, because at some point you're like, you find yourself in the kitchen for the third time, having done 6 pull-ups already, thinking like, am I bored? Am I trying to distract myself with a snack? Like, do I really need to be in here?
Do I
That's
really
sort of
want that bag of potato chips?
right. But like that's such a great idea, because it does alter the way that you think about how you're even just moving from one moment to the next, right? And that's just one example. Like you were saying, like there's nothing to say that you can't have a timer where every so often you're getting up and you're knocking out some squats, knocking out some air squats, knocking out some jumping jacks, knocking out some knee to elbows and plank, you know, whatever it, knocking out a plank. Oh, you're on a conference call and you're not presenting for another 3 minutes. Plank time, you know, like there's so many opportunities, and these opportunities add up. They add up into some very, very big spaces when you just start to get into the habit of saying, you know what, like I can do this. It's not hard. And it doesn't even suck at that point, you know, because you do what, 10, 15 squats, you're not putting yourself into this like crazy state of burning tension in your body. You're just knocking out 15 squats. And so those 15 squats, you think, oh, I could try to push the edge a little bit more, right? And then suddenly your movement snacks become full meals without you even realizing that you brought yourself to that point. You know?
Yeah, and like it doesn't even have to be as complicated as like squats or hanging up a pull-up bar. Like think of all the damage that we do to our bodies every day because we work in front of screens and phones and whatever. That's hard on our wrists to be sitting there typing all day, especially you developers that I know are listening to this. Like it could be something as simple as, every now and then when you remember, just start getting the blood flowing in your wrist, do some wrist mobilizations. It doesn't have to be these big strenuous things. All of that, all of those little investments add up. I'm investing a little bit in myself here, I'm investing here. It's like a dollar cost average strategy with your investments. I really like that analogy, how you went there with the investment stuff nonsense. And it's the same thing. Like we often, like especially like at Bankless, we kind of preach like the never sell plan and hold and stuff, and dollar cost average your way in, so it doesn't really matter. You're not so stressed about where the markets are. You can treat your health the exact same way. It's all an investment, and doing these little things here and there over time, they do add up and they do compound a lot. And people are always surprised when they try little things like that, how effective they are. They're like, Daniel Viking, I never thought this would work, man. I'm like, I know. The challenge is that it's simple, so we don't think it's gonna work, and that's like a huge challenge on its own. It's too simple. It's not gonna work for me. Get out of here.
Yep. And it's that little simple, that little simplicity, right? It's when you get into something like this, it's almost, it seems like there's this expectation that you have to be doing the laundry list of stuff when you go to the gym. Like you have to be going really hard if you want to see any changes. But bear in mind, for most people who spend the entire day sitting in some way, shape, or form, taking those little pockets of time to have those movement snacks, like that's already more than what you're used to doing.
Yeah.
Right? So there's already a benefit there that wasn't there before. So yeah, you're not doing the laundry list of stuff at the gym. You're not going to see the person who's going to like, yell at you to do the thing because you feel like that's what you need. Like you're not, going hardcore right off the bat, but you're still investing in yourself. You're still putting in those acorns. You're still putting in those coins. You're still, dollar cost averaging, right? I love that you say dollar cost averaging because, right, the market moves up and down, and it's just like progress. Progress isn't linear. You'll feel really great one day, like, oh man, I did like 60 squats and 100 push-ups and I did 3 pull-ups, and like it's just yes. And then the next day you go to do the exact same thing and you tank after so many of them. And recovery is a whole thing. The way that we, from our mental engagement, like there's so much involved in how you feel from one day to the next, and you simply can't measure your progress from one day to the next, right? The market's up one day and it's down the next, but you're still putting movement snacks away. You're still taking that time for yourself, and you're still doing the things, because even though market is like this and your progress is like this, like it's still doing this, right? And it's just, as long as you keep showing up and you keep adding in, you're still doing better for yourself than you were when you weren't doing anything.
That's powerful. That's so key. And that brings me to another point, and this is so critical, and it really goes to show just how judgmental and hard on ourselves we tend to be. And I know we're running out of time here, so we got to start wrapping up. This is going to be quick. We shouldn't be beating ourselves up over what we're able to do when we're able to do it. That's not productive either, and that's the other end of the spectrum, right? Like, I love walking talks. I like getting together with a friend and just going for a walk and talking or doing these little things. I'm single, so there's that. But like for people who have kids and spouses and stuff like that, going for a walk and talk with your family or a member from your team. I see often, like in the check-ins and stuff, and it kind of hurts to see people doing this to themselves. They'll rate themselves. I asked them to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5 with a little bit of a write up on how they felt they did, because it helps me see their minds, see the mindset, and see where they are. Right. And there's this one person in there totally kicking butt, totally kicking names, on point with everything. I love it. But when I check the movement activities, it's constantly a 1 or a 2 or maybe a 3. And it's like, oh, well, I went for a 3 hour walk today. I only went for an hour walk today. I took the kids to the park for an hour. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, that's a 4. Total all day long. That's a 4. That's a 5. If that's all you
Mhm.
had the capacity to do, you are hitting your body, you're hitting your relationships, you're hitting your being, you're hitting everything in one go and getting out into nature. It's like that's a 5. That's a 4 or 5. That's more than what most people do. But we get so caught up in the end goal that we want, we lose sight of the journey. We lose sight of having fun and enjoying it. When we stop beating ourselves up, like our best is going to change every single day. I went out for dinner on Sunday and had food poisoning all week, and I couldn't really do much of anything. Like, try running an animal flow class when you've got diarrhea. What am I going to do? Hey, sorry,
Mhm.
I got to step away for like 1 to 15 minutes. Here's a couple of moves to practice without me. I don't think so. It's not going to work. I have to be okay with taking that step back. And it doesn't matter what we're going through in life. We got to be okay understanding our best is going to change from day to day, from moment to moment. We're not going to get very far if we beat ourselves up over it and beat ourselves up over not for being over here when we want to be over here. And more
Mhm.
often than not, it's such a marginal difference that it's like we got to understand that we're not playing for today. We're playing to break generational curses in our family. We're playing for 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road. We're
It's
not
an
going to
investment.
see it. It doesn't matter whether we're working with a financial advisor to build our retirement for our future or a health coach like Nonsense and I. If we make a mistake with our health or our finances, the chances of us knowing within the first 10 years that we made a mistake are slim to none. We're not going to know until it's too late. So, why let that negativity, that toxicity into our being when we can just focus on the positive? Yes, I did it, a pat on the back. And that positivity, that lifting ourselves up and being proud of ourselves for doing what we have the capacity to do while we have the capacity to do it, that's like pouring gasoline on the fire. Over time, that positive energy, that mindset is going to help you. And as you start noticing, becoming more self aware and noticing how much better you're feeling, it's going to be easier to give yourself another extra inch to invest in yourself. Same thing as learning the crypto market. We're uneasy at first. Maybe we'll throw $100. We'll throw whatever the minimum is, $100, $50. We'll just start throwing it in, getting our feet wet. Next thing you know, it's like, I want to start throwing thousands in here. What can I do to make more money and throw in here? And it's the same thing with our health. As we start seeing the benefits, we start doing that little bit extra. And next thing you know, within months, our life isn't even recognizable. That's all I got. Otherwise, I'll keep rambling.
Yep, and that's it. That's it. Just health is an investment, and once we start thinking in those terms, then yeah, that'll change the mindset big time. It'll make it so that you're not as hard on yourself when you want to get into something, and you start thinking in the long term.
That's what it's about. If we're not going to do what's required today, have sustainable habits 10, 20, 30 years down the road, it doesn't matter. And you know what? Life's going to change. Those habits are going to need to change. We can always stack other habits in. We can always let go of what's not working for us and reshuffling as we need to in order to meet life's demands. Like, we don't get where we are by beating ourselves up. We get where we are by having fun and being passionate about what we're doing. And that's what we're here for. We're investing in you guys by putting all this time, effort, and energy into being here, supporting you guys. Help us, help you start seeing that you're investing in yourselves. It's that simple. And then you'll start having the same passion and enthusiasm that we do. Maybe not become coaches and trainers, but you can set the tone and the example for your family and the people that mean the most to you. Sovereign Nation, I think that's all we got. Anything else in closing nonsense? I can just go on forever about this. So I'm going to give myself a hard stop.
Yeah, no, I think we covered it. I think we got the main idea down, and I think we don't really need to hammer it out anymore.
Awesome. Sovereign Nation, have a wonderful day, and we are going to chat soon. Cheers.